What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. First and foremost, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, smash that post notification bell so you'll know whenever I put out any new content. So I know I'm a couple days late on this, but really just wanted to gather all my thoughts and what I really think about this trade and how this thing could turn out for us realistically before I did make a video. So if you have been living under a rock, Van Jefferson was traded to the Atlanta Falcons a few days ago. Was not really outrageous at all in terms of what we gave the LA Rams for him. Obviously, Van Jefferson, he was on the trade block for a minute. A guy many speculated was going to be traded. The Falcons were really not a team that was expected to be in that market for him. Other teams, such as perhaps the Carolina Panthers, are expected to be in the market for him. They are also looking for a receiver, but Falcons are the ones who ended up with Van Jefferson. So really, this is just going to be discussing obviously the trade, Van Jefferson, what could his upside be, and really what to expect out of him with the Atlanta Falcons. So looking at the trade details right here, the Falcons got Van Jefferson and basically swapped late round picks with the Rams in 2025. Falcons got a 7th round pick. Rams got a 6th round pick. So nothing outrageous at all for a guy who does have tremendous upside, in my opinion. And I think you saw that a couple of seasons ago. The guy has tremendous upside to him. Obviously, he can be a speed threat downfield in the slot. And he is also very valuable in the blocking game, which we'll talk more about in a minute. So looking at his career statistics, obviously that 2021 season, the season the Los Angeles Rams won the Super Bowl, is the one that sticks out. He averaged 16 yards a catch on 50 receptions, 800 yards, and 6 touchdowns. This is obviously the Van Jefferson Falcons fans will be hoping for. And that really is the outlier year because looking at, obviously, his rookie season, he only had 19 catches, really didn't have much involvement. And last year, when the Rams really were a dumpster fire, they were without Matthew Stafford, brought Baker Mayfield in, without Cooper Kupp. Van Jefferson did catch that touchdown for Baker Mayfield. I believe it was him late in that game versus Las Vegas last year. So that was definitely his highlight play last season. And as Puka Nacua has really came on for the Rams early, as well as Cooper Kupp getting back, there really was not a space for Van Jefferson to be there other than depth. So the Rams, they decided, ship him off. Let's get at least a little something in return, which is what they did. Obviously, that 2021 season is what sticks out. 50 catches, 100 yards, 6 touchdowns. This is going to be the Van Jefferson we're going to hope we get statistically and performance-wise. But right now, let me say something. This is probably not the Van Jefferson we're going to get. I would probably definitely say, because here's another thing to keep into account. He is on a contract year. He was drafted in, I believe, the 2nd or 3rd round in 2020. So this is his contract year. This is his 4th season. So he's pretty much playing for a spot on the Falcons roster next year. And obviously coming in, we don't know what his status is for Sunday against the Washington Commanders. So really, and if you know Arthur Smith and how he likes to go with new players coming onto the team, he phases them in slowly. He doesn't have a tendency to throw them in. Now, with Van Jefferson being a wide receiver, it could definitely be more likely he gets out there in kind of a role situation Sunday. But you will probably not see much of Van Jefferson involved here in the next few weeks. Now, later in the season, could we definitely see that? Yes. And then that takes me into really what to expect from Van Jefferson. Falcons fans are going to want Van Jefferson to come in, catch 40, 50-yard touchdowns down the field, be a dominant force in that slot. Obviously, he has great speed to him. That is a great attribute of his. But the reason why, in my opinion, the Atlanta Falcons brought Van Jefferson in is because how good he is and how valuable he is and how willing of a run blocker he is. We know the Falcons love to run the football. And that is what he is going to come in for. He is going to be rotated in and out. But I do think you will see Van Jefferson getting in there more times than not on run plays when you need him to block. There is one guy that I think this is going to affect more than anyone else, and that is Scotty Miller. Scotty Miller, finally this past Sunday versus Houston, you saw them get that slot receiver spot with Scotty Miller involved a little bit. He had that end around. He had like 2 catches on Sunday. Nothing outrageous, but we've been calling for Scotty Miller to be used all season, and we finally saw a little bit of that this Sunday. Now, bringing a Van Jefferson in, you're probably not going to see Scotty Miller for much more than just a depth position, if anything. Obviously, Scotty Miller was a guy a lot of us had hopes for coming in this offseason, that he could take over that slot position. But the reality is the Falcons love to rotate guys in and out, and Scotty Miller has really been that odd man out. The Falcons have been trying to get Kyle Pitts back into the groove of things, which maybe they did this Sunday. Johnny Smith has been a big part of this offense. Drake London, Matt Collins. I also say this not just because we're probably not going to see much of Scotty Miller other than just as really a player for depth and maybe on special teams, but this could affect how we see Van Jefferson as well. You're not going to see Van Jefferson getting that 800 yards with the Falcons. I think 300-400 yards by the end of the season. If you're someone who likes to look at statistics, which, let's be real, statistics are one of the main things players are judged off of. That is what I think you can expect out of a Van Jefferson, because the Falcons are going to distribute the football even more. We know how much the Falcons love to run the football and passing the football. Now you're getting Kyle Pitts back in the groove of things. We know how big Johnny Smith has been for us early on this season. Drake London, Matt Collins, Van Jefferson, to me, this is gaining a guy who obviously has great upside and we want to turn out really well. But as many people have said, it is low risk and potentially could provide a high reward. But if we don't get much out of Van Jefferson and we just let him hit the market this upcoming offseason, it's not the biggest deal in the world because we basically swapped picks with the Rams. As far as, and I'm going to kind of go into this for a second, I do not think the Falcons are done here. I think I definitely think Terry Fontenot is making one more big move before the trade deadline. And I plan on putting out a video here in a few weeks discussing some potential trade targets Terry Fontenot and the Falcons could look at. But something I think that is very valuable is there is a connection that can be found here. Sean Jefferson, who's Van Jefferson's father, he played for the Falcons, and I also believe he had a relationship working with Arthur Smith in Tennessee. And now, obviously, that connection has led them a long way because now Van Jefferson is on this team. But another thing to also keep in mind with Van Jefferson, look at Bryan Edwards, for example. How hyped up we were about Bryan Edwards. Bryan Edwards is going to come in, be a solid number 2 receiver, 500-600 yards, a couple touchdowns. He's going to be a great force for us. And then he got cut after like 7 games and only had like 2 catches here. I don't think that's happening with Van Jefferson. I think you're going to get Van Jefferson involved, but it's not going to be anything outrageous. You brought him in as a utility guy that fits right in with the system, and your receivers, you want to see them run blocking. That is what Van Jefferson was really brought in to do. He was brought in because he is a good fit for this system. Yes, he's going to get the ball here from there, like everyone does on this team. It's not going to be anything outrageous. Obviously, he could have those splash plays here and there with his speed. But other than that, you can honestly really just expect Van Jefferson to open up those lanes for Bijan Robinson, for Tyler Algier, for Cordell Patterson, even when you start to get him more involved. But overall, I do like this trade. I like the upside on it. But even if we don't see a lot from Van Jefferson, I'm okay with it because we didn't give up a whole lot to get him. But obviously, we traded for the guy, so we ought as well go ahead and get the most out of him we possibly can. I do want to see him catching the football, even though I know it's not going to be a whole lot. And I want to see him come in and be a nice utility piece for this offense. But with that being said, I will see you guys tomorrow. Game preview and predictions will now officially be on Friday. I feel like that's when you get a better feel of the matchup and how everything's going to shake out. So that is where preview and predictions will be now Friday, maybe even Saturday. I'm going to definitely stick to Friday for now. And I will see you guys then. Until then, you guys take it easy. I'll see you guys then.